and Zoom lets you know that you are being recorded. So hello, my nosework peeps. I'm Nancy Allman, and I will lead you through beginning nosework, which to me is the best dog sport ever. The dog gets to use their best sense. About 40% of the dog's brain is associated with the sense of olfaction. And not only do they get to use their best sense, they get paid for it. And they get paid heavily for it. And therefore, it is fun for your dog, and it ends up being just so much fun for you too. I know a number of you, and I don't know a number of you. There are a bunch of new people who are on. So let me give you a tiny little bit of background. I started nosework, I don't know, 6-8 years ago. I don't remember. And I started with my girl, who is an Akita, who is congenitally deaf. When I got her as a puppy, I sort of naively said to her breeder that I would put performance titles on her, having never put a performance title on any dog ever. So it's sort of a double whammy when you take an Akita, a breed not known for being particularly willing to work, and a deaf one at that, and make that bold comment, that bold statement. We sort of dabbled in a few things, rally, barn hunt, backpacking, tricks, etc. And then we found nosework. And to me, as I said, this is the best dog sport ever. So Keo is a much better, and you will find this to be true of you also. It is always the human that is at fault. It is always the human that makes silly mistakes, that holds the dog back or messes things up. We sort of had a few hiccups in our beginning career, and then Keo really hit her stride, and she is the first Akita to earn the very prestigious elite championship through the National Association of Canine Scent Work, and she is also the first Akita to earn all of her AKC master titles, and she is one of the few dogs who holds both those titles. We do have a couple of people online who are going to be coaching with me next Saturday, Kathy Hughes, and I believe Lynn, the Lynn that came on, is it Lynn Anguish or Lynn Wilkes?
Lynn Wilkes.
Okay, so Lynn will be there, and so will Kathy. So we're going to do a quickie overview of some of the concepts that we are going to cover next Saturday, a week from now. So I'm going to share screen and stop just talking. Oh, I have another Akita too, who is also deaf, who also has earned his championship, through elite championship through NACSW, and also has all of his AKC Masters title. And Lynn's dog Ruby has her elite championship. And Kathy is also trialing her girl at very high levels also.
Yeah,
So
Ruby also has her AKC Masters.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to come here. So you have people who have some idea of what they're doing. Share. We're going for the share screen. All right. So I'm going to come here. Hello. And we're going to come here first. And we're going to start on PowerPoint. Just a quickie, only be a half hour, I hope, unless you have questions. And just go ahead and chime in and ask questions. Hello. Best dog sport ever. It really is just so much fun. So when you are handling odor, and when I talk about odor, you are going to receive a kit on Saturday, which is going to consist of 3 glass jars. Each jar will be prepped with Q-tips that either have been scented with birch, anise, or clove essential oil. So you get one of each of those jars, one of birch, one of anise, one of clove. So when you pick up those Q-tips, do not use your hands. Don't. And the reason for that is these Q-tips are scented with essential oils. And if you get that on your hand, I'm going to come here for a sec. I sort of looked around and I found this little video about what it looks like. This is actually about germs. Thank you very much. About germs. I want to come to about, hello. Come on. Yeah, right. Okay. Not fun. We have to watch the whole thing. Oh, there we go. Where are we? What just happened here? Escape. What? I had everything queued up and it didn't last. Here we go. What? Wait. Come on. Jeepers, me and technology. Ah, crikeys. Here we go. Here's our guy.
We'll be a lot more careful and we get sick way less. Unfortunately, that's still not.
He put some glitter on his hands, some sort of powder on his hands, and then he went to his school and put it on a couple of kids' hands. And he had these kids just walk around, and I did have all of this queued up, and I'm really sorry. He had these kids walk around.
Oh, look at your wrist.
Oh, this is a little too far. I think it was around here. Hello.
Phone with an antibacterial wipe every day for at least a year.
Come on.
Face. Your eyes, nose, and mouth are like the single
Alright,
weak
so
spot
hang
on the Death
on.
Star when it comes to viruses.
It's actually
Perfectly
pretty
clean face,
entertaining.
and why washing hands is so important. It's impossible to catch a virus directly through your hand. It's as futile as shooting the outer surface of the Death Star. The problem is we use our hands to help the virus.
I think this is the part. Yeah. Okay. So they dusted these kids' hands with this powder.
And
That's
he agreed to let me
invisible.
put some of the powder on his
Here
hands.
we
too.
go.
And then 2 hours later at lunchtime, I checked the results. Remember, everything you see here started with just the teacher and one student having a little of that powder on their hands. And because my flashlight can only illuminate one spot at a time, I used Photoshop to better visualize our observations of where germs were left behind, including on the other kids. We're pretty hot.
So I put this in this little clip to convey this concept. If you get that essential oil on your hands, you're going to be touching things, and that essential oil will go everywhere. Once something has been exposed to that essential oil, it is called hot. It will retain that oil for a very long time. You have to pretend like it is forever. So when you get that oil on your hands and you're touching things, you have spread that oil all over the place, all over your house, all over you. And then the dog gets confused because they are supposed to be searching for these little packets of, do I have one? Little packets of odor about this size. Can you see that? Let me get out of the screen share. Hello, stop share. These little packets of odor that are about this big, or sometimes you'll have Q-tips and straws. The odor needs to be retained only in these little packets. Because if you get that odor everywhere, you're going to confuse your really, really, really green dog. So make sure that when you are moving Q-tips from the jar into the tin or into a straw, you are using Q-tips, and preferably have latex gloves on in addition to using Q-tips. When you are done doing anything with odor, gallop to the kitchen and use Dawn to wash your hand at least a couple of times, so you don't get that odor all over everything. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions on that? Are we good to go? Any comments, Lynn?
I would just add the comment that as you carry those little tins or straws around, it also gets on your hand.
Yes, it does. So
It's not safe just because you put it in the tin or in the straw.
One of the things that you need to remember is you need to store those oils in glass or metal, because the oil will react with plastic and eventually melt the plastic. So you will keep your tins in, or you keep your Q-tips in a glass jar, and I carry my metal tins around in either a plastic tin or another, a metal tin, or in a jar. Now, moving on. Hello. Come back here. What? There we go. Water. Sniffing is unbelievably dehydrating. So make sure then when you come on Saturday, you have a water bowl and water, because I'm not sure we have easy access to water in that space. I think there's a bathroom back there. Bring your own water, right? Bring a jug of water. Dehydrating, sniffing is really, really, really dehydrating. So make sure that your dog has lots of access to lots of water during practice, which means there are going to be breaks so you can get your dog out to potty. And if you're going into a search area at a trial, you want to make sure your dog has had water before they go into search. And always have water in classes, always. We have a tendency to want to help our dogs learn. And even today, when we were working on some high hides, I had some very experienced handlers say, I want to point out where the hide is to help him. No. Do not help your dog. If you help your dog, they become dependent on you. And if they become dependent on you, then when you get to a trial and you do not know where the hide is, they'll be looking to you for help and you will not be able to help them. And they'll say, so what's up? Right? Every time we've searched known hides, when we're practicing at home by ourselves, you always help me with the find the hide. And now we're in a trial and you're not helping me. Well, I don't know what to do. So remember that you will never, ever, ever have odor on you. And you will, at a trial, you will never, ever, ever know where the hides are. So you really need to be a super actor, even when you know where the hides are. You need to pretend that you don't. Please give your dog enough time to figure out what's going on. Because when they learn something, they will remember it and they will be able to apply that information to other scenarios. So let your dog take time to figure out what's going on in order that they actually reinforce that activity and learn it well. I always get this, right? Oh, fast dogs. Oh, my dog got first, second, third place. Oh my God, fast dogs are better. No, are they? So fast dogs do tend to place, but if you take your time, again, your dog will be able to figure out that puzzle and apply what they have learned in future. There are also searches where they have what are known as threshold hides, which means that that little packet of odor is going to be within 6 feet of the start line, possibly even closer. Possibly they will walk into the room, if it's in a room, and they'll turn to the right and the hide is going to be right there. So if you have one of those really fast dogs, it's what's known as a blaster, they will go blasting right past that hide into the room and they'll miss it. And they'll have to spend a lot of time circling around, trying to figure out where it is, or they won't get it all together. So there is an argument for making sure that you train for thresholds, so you threshold hides, so you don't reinforce a blaster. And there is also another argument which says slow methodical dogs end up being just as good, if not better, than blasters, because they take their time and they work around an area very methodically. Now, those of you who have trained with me, Kathy and Lynn, have heard me say this 50,000 times, do not be cheap. I will bellow across a room, don't be cheap. Really, the biggest mistake that most novice handlers make is that they do not reward enough. And in nose work, you cannot reward enough because you will be rewarding when the dog finds a hide. So the dog will be searching, 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 they'll find a hide and you rush in. And if you are giving them 10, 8, 15 cookies, that's about the right number. The reason that you want to reward heavily and reward with things that are high value, not things like kibble or Charlie bears, you want to use something that is so high value your dog goes gaga, cray cray in order to search. That builds value for odor. And that makes the dog so happy to search because they know at the end they're going to get a lot of really great cookies. And I will ask this of students also, would you work for $1? Yeah, you know, probably. Would you be happier working for 10 bucks? You bet you would be. So remember, the dogs will be happy working for 10 bucks and not just a buck. You want to build that value for odor, which in turn builds commitment to odor. So the dog doesn't care what's happening because they know when they find that hide, they're going to get fed. And I'll use this as an example. My girl dog was in an elite search down in New Jersey, and we were in this weird sort of farmyard with farm equipment and other mechanical stuff. And a barn cat went flying under her nose. And she went, she's an Akita, right? High predator. Oh my God, cat. And then she caught odor when she was lunging after the cat. And she went, oh my God, odor. And she went back to odor because of that history of reinforcement. You cannot reward enough. So don't be cheap. Reward, reward, reward. In the instruction document that I sent out, I told you to bring more treats than you ever think you will use. You may still run out. It is better to be able to take those home and say, oh, I didn't use as many as I had because I brought 4 bags and I have a bag left over, than to say to your neighbor, I don't have enough cookies. Bring more treats than you think you can ever use. Now, pick your cue word, stick with it. And a cue word is something like seek or search or find it. Or I was at a trial one time and this stuck with me. A woman said rummage, which I thought was very entertaining. You will use that once, okay? Think about obedience. When you are working your dog in an obedience room, an obedience ring, you will not say sit, 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 sit. And this is the same thing with nose work. You will use that word once, right at the start. So there is a tendency, especially with novice handlers.
Nancy, can I interrupt?
Yeah, sure.
I also have a deaf dog, and I was wondering what cue you use with your dogs.
Okay, so we'll talk about that. You're coming to the session on Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I basically just go like this because they know what that means, but we'll work separately. Okay, so no worries. Reward a lot, especially if you've got a deafy. Reward a lot, bring really high value treats. Okay, so I want to show you this vid here, and please let this be queued up. Yeah, okay, so this woman, and I just went randomly onto YouTube and I pull this video up. And there are some things I want to talk about while we watch this. Oh, come on. All of that queuing up that I didn't last. That's really annoying. So this poor dog, see how she's presenting? And listen to her. And she's pulling her dog around. No independence in that dog. See how she's using her hand to present? And search. Search. Show me. Search. We don't have to watch this whole video. It is in the PowerPoint, which you can find when I send this out. We want to build independent searchers. All right, you want to have your dog go into the search area and not even care if you are there or not. My boy dog in particular is a really great example of a dog who does not care who is there as long as he is searching. And not exaggerating when I say anyone can be on the end of his leash as long as they've got cookies and he knows he's going to get them, he'll work for anybody. He is so motivated and so focused on finding odor that it's the only thing that matters to him when he's in a search area. Not every dog is that independent, but I want you to keep that in the back of your mind so you do your best to develop an independent searcher. Okay, getting ahead of myself. There is so much that I want to add, and I'm keeping it simple. So I put this in here for entertainment value because we tend to be really close to our dog and we get into their space. And this shows what happens if someone is in your personal space. You feel like, oh my gosh, I can't, right? I just can't. I can't. And the dog is the same way. That is why if you stick with the sport, you're going to want to work on at least a 10-foot lead. 10-foot lead is good. In some circumstances, you want an 8-foot lead. 6-foot lead is way too close. And a 15 or 12-foot lead is way too much line to be dealing with. So a good length of lead to get, if you're going to be sticking with this, is a 10-foot lead. And you don't want to be like this woman that we just saw with her poor dog right up that dog's butt, right next to the dog, because that is putting a lot of pressure on the dog to move or to do something or to not pay attention to what she's supposed to be doing. So this is, please work. Yeah, good. This is another team that I'm working with virtually. It's a team I'm working with virtually, and I want you to watch this. This is a really great little dog. Not there. So watch where she stands. Look where she stands and see what the dog is doing. The height is there. Okay, let me go back here. Find it. A really great little dog. See how she's looking? Stop. See how she's looking, and Patricia moves close here and the dog goes, I can't take it. I can't take the pressure. I got to get out of this space. The height is back here. So watch what happens. Just watch this a little bit. And you need to actually keep your toes to the dog's nose now. She should be toes to nose for this dog. Indy's a super little worker. See, she backs up and that gives the dog enough time to get in there, enough room to get in there and get to her, to get to the spine, the hide. Giving the dog enough space gave the dog the room to actually move in there without feeling like she was being pressured. So give your dog space. Now, where are we? Not here, we're here. You will only ever feed at source. What does that mean? If this is the hide, you're going to feed here. You're not going to feed up here or back there or over there. You're going to feed here. I'm hoping you're all familiar with the red light, green light game. Everybody remember the red light, green light game when you were a kid? Now you're standing with a bunch of friends and somebody is the sort of the person, and that person says red light and you all stop and they say green light and you run as fast as you can. And then when they say red light, you have to slam to a halt. Everybody remember red light, green light? That is the exact same thing you're going to do when you're training your dog to stick to odor. Because if you do not, you will get what's known as, I call the dreaded look back. You have to feed its source. So I have a couple of videos here, hello, which I hope please play for me. And I want to slow this down. Hello, settings, so we can see what. No, where is the? Oh.
These puffy under-eye bags are a glitch. They are not from tiredness or age or stress.
Oh my gosh, here, okay. Let me stop this, stop. Let me do this. I'm going to slow this down so you can see what happens here. So the dog's looking around, the handler's giving her a fair amount of space, which is good. Dog finds the hide, it's in that box. And look what, stop. Right here, when the dog's nose, this is the hot box. When the dog's nose leaves that hot box, you need to stop. This woman needs to freeze right here, because that will mean the dog will make a choice. Do I go for the hand with the cookie or do I go for the box? And the hand with the cookie will never feed unless the dog's nose is here. So look what happens here. This is leading. See how she leads the dog back to odor? The dog is up here, dog's nose is here, and she brings the hand back to the box. That is leading the dog to odor. She's feeding its source right now, but she led the dog there, and now she's pushing the dog up off odor, which is not good. And I wanted to show you this because this is another really good dog, and this handler is maybe not so good. Now she gives the dog, the dog is off leash, so she's giving the dog space. That's great. The dog says it's here. Here it is, and comes off of it because she's not rewarded. She doesn't have enough value for odor, but she comes back. It's an older dog, right? There it is. There's the odor. He comes back, see, and watch what the handler does. Boom, leads the dog back to odor. If you want to do that, please don't train with me. Don't. You need to remember this. In a trial, your dog's behavior and your behavior will degrade. So you want to be very careful about sticking to criteria so that when you get to a trial, you are as close to that criteria as you can possibly get. So what I want to show you next, this is Indy and Patricia again. Just stop you. Stop, hello, stop. You don't want to stop. This is not stopping.
Yes.
See how she sticks? See how the dog is sticking to odor? Yes. That is what you want to do. I'm going to slow this down and play that again. Come back here. Hello. Come back. Whoop, too far. I got overexcited. Here. Look at how happy Indy is coming into the search area. See how that tail is up? She's confident. She's moving nicely. See how Indy sticks? And Patricia takes a little too long to get her cookies out, but Indy is sticking to that. Boom. She feeds its source. Does everybody understand the difference? You want to feed its source. You want to feed right when that dog's nose is as close to source as possible. It's not, I'm leading you back. That is a very sloppy habit to have. All right. Down here. All right. We're going to do this cup hand technique. I'm going to hop out to a video soon, so we're not going to talk about this. So what you're going to do is this. This is the hide. I can't hold the hide and I can't hold the hide and use a cup hand. So pretend the hide is right under my hand. You make a cup of your hand, you have cookies in the other hand, and you go 1, 2, 3. As soon as the dog has eaten one out of your hand, you throw another one in there. Okay. So I have a little video of that. Hello, if I can get through this. This is Teddy and Lynn, and she does a really, really nice job of demonstrating the cup. See down here, her hand is right there at the hide, and she's feeding one cookie at a time.
Good job.
And that's a super, super, super example of feeding its source and using the cup hand technique. Love that. That was very well done. Also, did you hear how she praised her dog when the dog was done? Good dog, super job, good dog. Everything about the end of nose work has to be as much fun as the beginning of nose work. So when you are done, when the dog is done with the search, good dog, high hand touches, scratch, play with the dog, do something to get the dog wound up. So when they're leaving the search area, they're happy and they're up. Everything about nose work is positive, positive, positive. Start line, search, end line, all happy, happy, happy.
Nancy?
Yeah.
Remind people to be that happy if your dog has missed a hide.
Yes, right? If your dog misses a hide, good try. You tried so hard. That's excellent. Let's go. Super. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. It's not, oh my God, we failed. It's you tried so hard. We'll get it next time. Positive reinforcement. We talked about this a little bit. 10-foot lead, 6 too short, 12 or longer too long. This is what you're going to do before you come to class. Get a piece of rope or something that is 10 feet long. And you will not be moving around this much when you are handling, but I put this here so you can see what you need to do to practice getting used to holding a leash. All right, so you get the leash, you attach it to something, and then you take it in and you let it out, you take it in and you let it out, and you move it around so you get the feel for handling the leash. It's attached to the fence here. So you get the feel for handling the leash, bringing it in and out. So you're not going like this when you're actually working with your dog. Practice without the dog. Notice where my hands are. The hands are low and quiet. Everything about nose work handling is still and quiet. Everything. Today we had we trained at the vet school this morning with a bunch of people. And I found myself going up to one of the handlers who was like this. She had, can you see this? Right? She had her hands up. She tracks. So she's used to having her hands up for her tracking lead. Nose work is not track. This makes you big. This does not make you small and quiet. This makes you very big. Everything about nose work is small. Handling is small and quiet. The focus of the dog should be on the search, not on you and your hands and how much you're moving. You will not move this much when you're handling your dog. I'm just moving around so I can show you what I'm doing to get used to feeding the line out and collecting it. Practice this without anything in your hands except for the lead. And then the next thing you're going to do is take a bunch, once you feel comfortable doing that, you're going to take a bunch of cookies and you're going to work with the leash and cookies, getting them in, getting your hand into the pocket and grabbing cookies while you're working with your lead. Practice without the dog. Practice without the dog first. Leash handling first, then add cookies, and then practice with the dog. All right, so this is kind of pre-course work. Now, where should you be positioned? Let the dog lead. You will send your dog into a search area. And I see a lot of experienced handlers walking into the search area with their dog. Your dog should be able to do a novice and advanced container search without you leaving the start line. I am not a particularly good handler. I just had a lot of experience. My boy dog did an entire buried novice search without me leaving the start line. I just let him out. He had a 23-foot flexi. He was working on a flexi. I let him out and he went bing, 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 bam. There it is. Your dog should be able to work without you leaving the start line. And we do exercises, not in this class, but we do exercises to reinforce that. Dog leaves the start line, the handler follows. It's not that you are walking out with your dog. The handler is supposed to follow. If you are in the middle of a room and your dog is working around you, all you need to do is act like your feet are on a manhole cover and just pivot to keep your toes to the dog's nose. You don't need to be moving and moving and move. Everything about nose work handling is small and quiet. So just pivot. Keep your toes to your dog's nose. There are times where you want to walk past your dog and you break the plane of its shoulder. So your dog is back there. As soon as that happens, you're on a dog walk and you are in control of the search. And it is a handler-led search, not a dog-led search, which is a no-no. You always want the dog to be leading the search. It's more fun for the dog. You have to give up control. I know how hard that is. Believe me, I know how hard that is. So this is your pre-course work, and this is the last slide, but I do have another video I want to show you. I want you to practice the cup hand reward technique before you come to class on Saturday. Okay? And I don't care if you use cookies or something small, gravel, go get a handful of gravel, just hold your hand in a cup and drop the cookies or the pebbles or whatever you're using in one at a time. Then practice with the dog. Don't add any odor. Practice without the dog, then practice with the dog. And the dog's gonna love it, right? They're gonna see that cup hand like, woohoo! Every time they see that cup hand, woohoo! Cookies. I want you to practice lead handling. Get a 10-foot piece of rope and just practice bringing it in and letting it go and keeping your hands quiet. The other thing I want you to do is practice pacing. You will move when in a nose work search, you will move at the speed that your dog does. You're going to do your best to move at the speed that your dog does, because I know some people have limited mobility. So you're going to take your dogs for a few walks between now and Saturday, and you will move at his or her speed. So if he stops and is sniffing, you stop. Try and keep your toes to his nose. If he moves on, you move on. If he's trotting, you trot. If he stops when you're trotting, when the mid trot, you stop. Get used to moving at your dog's pace, which will make moving at your dog's pace during a search second nature, and you will not have to think about it. We just had somebody jump on and we're almost done. Now, I'm going to show you at least part of this. This is the woman that I use as a coach. She's in Minnesota. In my mind, she is the best nose work trainer in the country. There are a lot of good ones. And to me, Holly is the best, not only because she has unbelievable depth and breadth of knowledge of the sport. She used to be a detection dog handler. She is also extremely intuitive and can look at a dog and tell you what's happening with that dog with you as a handler. And she's also a really good handler. She runs whippets and has elite championship on whippets, another breed that's not known for its, hello. So this is a judge, and there's Holly in the black vest. And that's Motto. She's taking him off leash.
Yes.
And he found odor. You will see that she does not necessarily feed at source, because this is a very advanced dog. See, he doesn't need her, right? He's going out of the room, and she's like, oh my gosh, I got to gallop after him. That's the independence we're looking for. Look at how relaxed she is. She's not stressed. She's not putting any stress on the dog. She's giving the dog plenty of room. Dog is working this odor puzzle really nicely. See how she's just circling and doing a pretty good job of keeping her toes to the dog's nose. She's not moving around a lot. She's not backing up too much. She's not moving forward too much.
Yes. Nice job.
So this is a trial situation. So she is encouraging the dog to move on, and the dog knows his job, moves on happily, checks all those lockers, just going by, ignores the cheering in the other rooms. Love this independence and focus. This dog has a lot of value for odor and is in love with the job.
Yes.
Okay, so I could watch all of this. And I guess I'm happy to if anybody wants to, but I wanted to stop and give people the opportunity to ask questions or make comments or any feedback. I'm hoping this was helpful.
Nancy, someone asked in the chat if the handler knows where the hide is.
No. If you're in a trial, the handler will not know where the hide is, right? Which is why when you're training, if you know where the hide is, you have to pretend that you do not. Because if the hide is, say the hide is on the lamp behind you, turn around, look at the lamp, Natasha. See that? If you're facing that lamp and you're planted facing that lamp and the dog is over here and you keep facing that lamp, and the dog goes over here and you are facing that lamp because you know the hide is there. You're saying to the dog, I know the hide is here. And the dog's gonna go, every time she's planted at something, she's gonna know where that hide is. So I'm just gonna look and see what she's looking at or what she's facing, and I'm gonna search that area. And in a trial, you do not know where the hide is. So you, when you are practicing, have to pretend you are clueless, right? You really have to have Oscar level acting skills. Is that the question that you had? There was another, somebody else came up. Yes, thanks. Okay. The handler will not know where the hide is. What else you got for me, guys? Anything?
I'm curious to just hear more about kind of what adjustments you make for working with deaf dogs, but I realize that probably doesn't pertain to anyone else. So
Yeah,
I don't
so
want to take
hang
up time
on.
with that.
Yeah, hang on. We'll work on that. You bring your own crates because we're going to be working on at the space in the mall, and this club does not provide crates. You do need to have a crate, and your dog needs to be crate trained because there will be times where the dog just needs downtime. You cannot work a dog for 2 hours in nose work. It would kill your dog. It would fry your dog's brain, especially a green dog. I tell people, if you're starting a dog, 2 minutes twice a day. Literally, when you are starting a green dog, it is 2 minutes twice a day, and that's it. It's going to be longer than that. There'll be some time where I'm reviewing some of the material we went over today because not everyone is on this call and not everyone will watch the video, and repetition is good. You will be working in different stations with different exercises. And you should bring chairs. Yep, bring chairs just in case. Ideally, you'd have some sort of 10-foot something for the workshop, and I will see if I can rustle up a couple of mine. I have some somewhere. One thing that I did want to mention is this. Because I have deaf dogs, I was loath to let them work off leash. Because once they're off leash, you have no control, right? And the National Association of Canine Scent Work, the abbreviation is NACSW, they are sort of the gold standard for the sport of nose work. And you have to get 1,000 points at elite to get the elite championship. And in Toka's, my red dog's last three trials, when we were doing interiors and we had the option to run off leash, I just took him off leash and I let him go. And every time I did that, he found every single hide. And he did not have that success rate when I was holding him back at the end of the leash, right? Don't worry about the harness. You don't need the harness, right? Flexi, I'm not a fan of Flexi for novice handlers because of the clunk. Everybody who uses Flexis knows the clunk. That hard stop, that dog goes like that. No. So if you're going to use a Flexi, you have to be trained to use a Flexi. I play find it with my dog and he munches it on his own, but I have given some, wait, now I said this. Can bad habits be fixed? Bad habits can be fixed, but it's always harder to go back and fix things than to start correctly. We are going to play games which get the dogs immediately on odor. There are several schools of thought on what to start dogs with. Should you start them on what is known as primary, which is food, or should you start with odor? And we start with a little combination of both, but almost immediately they're off food repair, because why spend time having your dog search for food? Because if you stick with the sport and you end up trialing, sooner or later, the dog has to search past food. So if it has a history of searching for food and then suddenly has to stop searching for food and bypass it, that makes it harder, at least in my mind. So when you come on Saturday, have a ton of really soft cookies and the sort of the characteristics of what type of treats to bring is in the email. And you will also want to have a small amount of something that you can switch onto a tin. So a little peanut butter or a little soft cheese. Don't bring anything like chicken, which crumbles, or crunchy things, which leaves crumbs. You get crumbs on the floor and the dog ends up searching for food and not for odor, and yikes, not great. All right. No, your dog has to be in a crate. Somebody emailed me, no, the dog has to be crated. Your dog cannot be lying quietly next to you, because if I allow you to do that for your dog, then everybody has to be able to do that. And the dogs have to be crated. They need to be able to go into their own little space safely where they can cogitate. The dog has to be crate trained.
The crate can be right next to your chair. It doesn't have to
Yes.
be out somewhere else. So if you have a crate you can drop food into while you're sitting there,
Perfect.
they should be fine.
Is it possible to go like to the mall to just like have some practice in that setting, like get them introduced to that environment beforehand? Yeah, that's space.
The space is only open to dogs coming to one of our evening classes, or the mall is open to dogs to walk inside on Sunday mornings, 8 to 10, but you don't have a Sunday before class now.
Oh crap, what was I gonna say? Oh. So this makes me sound like a grump, and I need to stick to this criteria. If you bring your dog and they're making a fuss when they're in the crate, you have one opportunity to calm your dog down. If the dog does not calm down, you will have to excuse yourself, because it is not fair to all of the other dogs. If there's somebody in the background going, I can't stand it, I can't stand it, I don't want to be in a crate, I can't be away from my parent. That's distracting to the handlers, and it's very distracting to other green dogs. So please, if your dog is not crate trained, you have a week. And if they are not crate trained, please bow out, because it is really not fair to the other dogs and the other handlers if you bring a fussy dog that is not crate trained. Plus this, when you trial, your dog has to be crated. You cannot have your dog out and about. When you trial an NACSW, your dog has to be kept in a crate in the car. You're not going to be, when you're trialing, your dog is not walking around socializing with other dogs. It is in a crate in a car, because there are too many dogs and there's too much liability. So this is just practice for what you'll be doing down the pike when you're trialing.
Pre-COVID, you could have your dog out of the car in the crate if you were in a chair directly next to your crate.
Right. Right. Yeah. But you have to be right there.
You cannot leave the dog unattended in a crate if it's outside your car.
And that is the rules of the organization.
And AKC as well as NACSW, as far as I know.
AKC is a little bit loosey-goosey. So I am a fully licensed AKC judge. And a lot of what I say comes from, that you're going to see in this, that you just saw in this little talk. A lot of what I see comes from what I said, comes from what I see when I'm judging. I hear people find it, 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 show me, show me, show me, show me, show me, show me. And the dog's, I have, right? I have. Or they're too close to their dog and they're pushing their dog into a corner, and the corner, show me, show me, show me. And the dog says, okay, you know, I got to do something because you're putting too much pressure on me. So here it is. And they call alert, and it's false, because they put too much pressure on their dog. Show me, walking them into a corner. Give them space and give them time, especially when you are learning. Because it really is a fun sport. You want your dog to have the most fun ever. This is about the dog. This isn't about you. Anybody else?
Hi, Nancy. This is Shirley Keelman.
Hi, Shirley.
Hi. I haven't been to the space in the mall yet. So you can just come right in?
Yes. So the doors are the ones. What's the door that they recommend people use? And I'll send out a map. Becky sent out a map.
It's the doorway that leads into the hallway goes behind Dick's Sporting Goods and down to Best Buy. So it's the
Okay.
doorway that's on the back side of Dick's.
And Best Buy.
And
Okay.
heads down that hallway towards Best Buy, and then right where the T happens that goes over to the food court, right on the far side there is the old American Eagle store, and it has an IDTC banner in the window.
Okay, all right, yeah. So it's, you just come right in where you'd either go to this Dick's or Best Buy.
Yeah, that hallway.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Is that all we got?
You don't know what you don't know till you.
You don't know it, yeah. Brenda, I'll talk to you. Check your PM, Brenda. Once we're off of this. Anybody else? Is that it? So what I will do is I'll flip back to screen share and I'll continue to play Holly's Search. And if you want to continue to watch that, that's great. And if you want to sign off and go cogitate about whether or not you're actually going to take this class now that you know something, that's fine too. And have a great evening. Go back to screen share and go back to Holly's wonderful video, which is, where to go? Oh my goodness, where did I go? Hang on, let me unshare and find it. Oh. Yeah, we'll just come here. I don't know where it went, so we'll just start over here. Hang on. Oh, shush. I have to go through some ads. My really great effort here. I'll start this here. All right, Holly, go back to work. Oh, by the way, for those people who are interested, Holly is coming to Ithaca with Jeff McMahon for seminars on July 16th and 17th, and definitely worth at least an audit. Here she is back in that classroom. I just love watching her work. She's so calm. Trusting her dog.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
See how Mato goes back to found hides and doesn't stick? Because he's already known, he knows that he's got reinforcement there and won't get reinforcement again.
Yes. Yeah.
Miller,
Yes.
let's go outside, buddy.
We'll catch you up for you.
Here, this side.
Yes. Nice search.
Was a nice
He doesn't
search.
suck, does he?
Oh, he rocks. We didn't get sucked.
That's so Holly. She's the best. She's a really wonderful person. Lucky me. Call her friend. All right, so I'm happy to stay on and talk a little bit to the woman with the deaf dog, and if anybody wants to stay on and listen, that's fine too. Otherwise, I'll see you on Saturday. Most of you, not all of you. I'll see most of you on Saturday.
Nancy, have you sent out to people what of the 2 times they're coming? Someone
I
seemed-
did.
Okay,
yes.
someone seemed a little confused
I'll
about
send it out again.
what time
I
they're.
sent out a list. I sent out the list of who's coming when and what the requirements were, which includes crate training. Guys, if your dog is not crate trained, please don't come. This is not fair to the other dogs.
Or come and don't bring your dog.
Right, you're welcome to audit. All right. I'm sorry, who had the deaf dog? I've forgotten already. I have the attention span of a gnat.
That's me,
Okay.
Natasha.
So you, what breed is your dog?
Probably a bull terrier mix.
So not that it matters. How have you been training your puppy now?
We have been, we did the beginner 1 class in the CGC last summer, and have just been working mostly at home, especially the last few months. It's been cold, just on kind of training with hand signals and treats.
So people ask me, how hard is it to train a deaf dog? And I can't answer that question because I've never trained a hearing one.
Hmm.
These 2 Akitas are, I think, number 8, number 9 and number 10 in the family of Akitas that have lived here. And the others have all been adopted either middle-aged or older or with health problems. And they have been pets. So thinking back really quickly about how I trained Keo and Toka, it's basically just you add a hand signal just as you would add a word cue.
Mhm.
So whatever you decide you want your hand signal to be, just use that every time. Of course, the start line routine will be slightly different for your dog, at least in the lower levels, because your dog needs to look at you for the cue.
Mhm.
So if you stick with this, we'll what I would recommend is you start a little bit further back from the start line, so the dog has a few steps to look forward and start to catch odor. Because ideally, what you would do, hang on, while we're talking, hello. My computer, here we go. Ideally, what you're going to be doing is having your dog, everything about you and your dog at the start line should be facing forward, and it should be all about, hang on, I'm looking, let me look at, it should be all about trying to catch odor. The dog should be all about trying to catch odor. Now I'm looking for a particular picture, which I'm hoping I can find, and of course I'm not going to be able to. Hang on. I see, and I'm sure Lynn will agree with this. You see a lot of people at the start line saying, ready? Which brings the dog's attention to you. And then they say, search, and the dog has to go, wait, oh, we're going that way. This is not agility. This is not obedience. Body language counts. So I even had to correct a couple of really experienced people today who were saying, ready? It's like, you're killing me. Really?
By the upper levels, your dog knows that they're going to go searching, and most you don't want to pull their nose away from trying to get an idea where they're going by trying to make them look at you. Them looking at you is not them ready. They're ready when they're looking forward and you can see their nose working. Then they're ready. You don't have to ask them, they'll show you they're ready.
Yeah, so hang on, I'm looking, come on, I'm looking for, I can't find the picture that I want, but I'm pretty sure I have it on Facebook.
Somewhere the dog and the owner both looking forward.
Yes.
I remember that slide.
Yeah, that picture, really, I want you to imprint that picture in your giant coconut, because here it is. Where are you? Ah, I just hit it and it ran away. Because this is, here it is. You come here, share screen. This is what you want. You want your dog so focused on catching odor that they don't care about anything else. You want your dog so committed to odor that a cat runs underneath their nose and they go, cat, odor. And that overrides the demand or that requirement, that urge to hit odor overrides everything else, except I gotta find that because of the history of reinforcement and how much fun this is. This is a great picture because they're looking forward. This is all about that. So what you're gonna do with the deaf dog is you're gonna start, instead of, if the start line is 2 feet in front of their feet, you're gonna start 10 feet back. To give your dog time, you're gonna give them the cue for, are you ready? Which you will be able to fade pretty quickly. You give the cue for search and the dog will move into the search area and start looking for odor. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I imagine it will make more sense when we're there too.
When you start, yeah.
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 Okay.
I'm hoping that helps. Anybody else? Anything else? 2 more comments? Let me unshare so everybody doesn't have to read this where the comments go. Hello, comments. I answer my blah 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 blah. All right. Okay.
Chance, it's Debbie for a sec.
Yeah.
2 things. I just want Natasha, just because we were in the CGC class, I just want to say she's done an awesome job training her deaf dog. Okay, but I sent you a private text, so could you just let me know, and that would be great. Okay.
I think you need to come to the 10 because we have the same number of people in each class. And
oh, the list showed 1 less in the 12-10. Okay.
yeah, not anymore.
So no way to go to the 12-10.
The 12 o'clock-ish. No, I'm not going to spend time
Okay.
trying to
All right.
track down
We'll
people.
be at the 10.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Anything else? Then I'll see you on Saturday. Most of you on Saturday, not all of you, but most of you. Have a good evening, folks. Hope this was helpful. I'm gonna stop recording.
Thank you. Have a good night.